What's up, guys? Welcome back to Race Stop. We are gonna go ahead and get the 240 now prepped and ready for drift day. We got the Miata done in the last video, so if you didn't check that out, go ahead and click the link and check that out. And then we're gonna go ahead and get straight to working on the 240. I've been having a little bit of issues with the battery because this thing's from like 2019, so I went ahead and picked up a new one, and I'm also adding in a cutoff switch so that way we could just kill the battery and not have to keep disconnecting the cables and all that. So we're gonna hop right into it, and I'm gonna pull the battery out. I already bought a new battery, so let's get it. And here's the old battery. As you can see, 919. It's about 5 years old now. And I went ahead and threw the new one in here, April 24. So this thing should be good for hopefully 3 years at the least. And then I have my new cutoff switch here. It's still a little bit loose, so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it from the other side. Seems like a decent spot for it. This second ground cable is a little too long, but that's okay. Went ahead and mounted it to the coilover. So we got 2 grounding points there and there. That should help it out a little bit there. And then we're gonna hook up the power and see if this thing stays charged, hopefully. Like I said, I would assume it's this battery because it's 5 years old, and it usually lasts about 4. So yeah, let's see. And we just tighten that up snug. And now this shouldn't move when I go ahead and turn this. Perfect. Off. Sweet. And then we have our ground hooked up here. I'm gonna go ahead and hook up the power cable now. All right, so I've been daily driving this car for another 3 days or so with the new battery in it, and I'm still having the same issue. The alternator is only charging the battery up to 11.5 with everything on, so we have an issue here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the alternator out and clean it, but besides the fact, I ordered a new alternator that is from actually a Nissan Quest, a 97 I believe, and that one is 110 compared to the 90 that we have here, so we should get a little bit more power going through the system with having all the accessories on and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna pull this out real quick, and then we'll take it to the bench. Not to mention all this stuff has to happen right when I'm gonna take it to the track, but I also have another issue as well, sadly. I didn't have bottom radiator bushings, so my radiator actually ate through the frame, and now I have a small leak there. So I'm gonna go ahead and JB weld that, pull the radiator out too, and fix all that. Drift prep, you know what I'm saying? And then this little guy fell off of the light. Don't know how that happens, but that one's on there, thankfully. So yeah, I'm gonna have to like figure out how to get that back in there as well. Little stuff, little stuff. Some of the bumper is also finished. I had to go ahead and trim some of this up so we weren't hitting the eyelids and here on the side for the tires. And then I still have to get in here and get the turn signals to sit right because they sit out just a little bit and we don't want that. We want them to go in. All right, so as you just saw, we got the radiator out, fans out, and the alternator out, drained the coolant, and now I need to attack this. First, not too bad or anything. I'm just gonna put some JB weld over that. But if this doesn't work, I am gonna have a pretty big problem because in 1 week, it is my birthday, and that is when I was supposed to take this car to the track. And I also have the Miata prepped just in case if this one cannot go, but I really want to take this one. So we're gonna make this happen. If need be, I'm at the track and the radiator happens to blow. There's sure parts stores around there. I'll be able to find a radiator, I'm sure. So yep, I'm just gonna go ahead and JB weld this, let it sit overnight and stuff, and start cleaning up other little issues that I've had, like the bumper itself and all that. And then let's see, it's pretty clean in here, but we have a oil leak from the valve cover gasket. I have that as well, so I'm gonna do that. And then I might have to get injector O-rings because they look pretty cracked. Can't really get in there very well, but they're not new. So yeah, might as well just get them before drift day and have issues then. So yeah, let's just fill this crack real quick with some weld. Alrighty, so it is now the next morning and our radiator has dried, so that should be okay to throw back in the car after I replace the hoses. So I have brand new radiator hoses here. Just have to chop them to length. This one might be the right length for the top one, but we'll see. Alright, so I got the alternator cleaned up. I put some dielectric grease in there, and we got some anti-seize on all the bolts. So this thing should realistically work unless any of the electronics in here are fried, which I don't really think they are. It looked pretty decent in here, just a little caked with coolant. But now I have a new radiator hose for the top, and then the bottom radiator hose is still pretty new. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw some fabric tape over this so that way we don't hit this alternator bracket right here. And we should be good to go. I'm still waiting for the new alternator from the 97 Nissan Quest, and that one has 110 amps compared to the 90 amp stock one that we get with this motor and every other KA motor. So this will be a little more beefed up, and that way my fans won't draw as much power from the alternator as well. And if I wanted to, I could run some subs in here, which would be pretty cool, but we'll see what happens. So we got the fabric tape here. I'm gonna go ahead and just get it right around here on this hose. All right, so about a day later, we have the Nissan Quest alternator here, the 110 amp, and this is the ka24e stock alternator pushing 90 amps. So as you can kind of tell, comparison wise, the Quest one is a little bit bigger, and there are a few things that you actually need to do to this to make it correctly work with your 240, either your ka24e or DE motor. You need to get this hole here, the one closest to the pulley, cut at about a tick right before ½ inch. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that there. All right, so I cut the end off here, as you can see, just about that much. And now we're gonna go ahead and drill this hole and this hole the same size as the stock bolt. You could probably get a smaller bolt to make it work, but this is probably the best option because the factory bolt holds the alternator already and it has the base strength to do so. So doing a skinnier one might be an issue. I'm not too sure. So I'm gonna just go ahead and tap these holes out for the stock bolt. So I'm not exactly sure what size I'm running, but I flipped the end of the drill bit around and matched it up to this. It's just a tiny bit bigger than this, maybe like a millimeter. So that way this bolt can easily slide through and not be wobbly. So again, not sure the size, but I'm sure you guys can figure that out. There we go, and then the last hole on the other side. So now that our Nissan Quest Alternator is modified with the cut portion there and the 2 drilled holes there, we can throw it in the car and see if this works. So I'll kind of mock it up in there and see how it goes. So I went ahead and got the alternator in there. The only issue I'm having now is that the belt is too short. So what I could do here is mark a hole and drill there, put the bolt in there, and it should be okay. Or I could just go ahead and get a longer belt, but I think I'm gonna just take the drilling route because it's not gonna really hurt anything. And if worst case, I could just get a belt and that'll be that. So we'll see what I do with that. All right, so I just went ahead and cut the alternator adjuster bracket and flattened it on the one side towards the belt, rounded it back out. So now we can go ahead and throw this back in there with clearance and not have to deal with it anymore. So as you can see here, we have this little bracket for the tensioner, and I shaved it down just a bit here so that way we would clear the belt. Currently it is not clearing the belt because I have to tension it this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and tension it up and you'll see that the belt will clear. And as you can see right there, the more I tension it now, the more it goes away from the belt. It is just by a little bit, but hey, if it works, it works, right? So my belt still has a little bit of play. That's probably about good. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the adjuster bolt here. And we're clear. So you may or may not have to do something like this with yours if you're planning on doing something like this. I had to drill out the bracket just a little bit to make this belt work. You could get a bigger belt, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm just gonna run it like this for now, and then maybe just get a bigger belt in the future. But yeah, one less thing on the list to do to this car. Now we gotta do the valve cover, throw the radiator back in, and see if this thing is okay now. Alright, so I just got done cleaning the radiator out, and we got it JB welded for now. And then after we do the little test and tune there, we can figure out getting another one. But currently don't really have time to wait for another one, so yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and send it. And I'm gonna use water as well, so that way if we lose some on the track, we're not dropping coolant everywhere. The skid pad, whatever you want to say. So the alternator is now bolted up and wired up. We need to get the fans in here, fill up the radiator, and I just went ahead and replaced my brake booster air hose because that thing was pretty crusty from the fire a long time ago. It still worked, it didn't have any holes, but it was a pretty solid line, so we went ahead and replaced that back with the rubber one. And I think this should be about it, besides some aesthetic little things and such. But we shall pick up again tomorrow and see what else we need to do. Alright, so I'm going ahead and testing the car out. Been driving it for about 10 minutes. It seems like it's okay and back to normal. We're running at 13.9 volts right now on the dash. And then I have my power inverter here saying it's 13.1 with my accessories on. So we're looking good. And I guess we're gonna see what happens when we take this thing to the skid pad. So stay tuned and see you in the next video. Peace, guys.